Dobri moji putnici, dobro mi došli u Kosmičke Putnike, mesto gde delimo priče i iskustva koje menjaju percepciju i život. Ako si se ikada zapitao ili zapitala šta predstavlja samospoznaja ili samorealizacija, mogu samo da ti kažem da si na pravom mestu, jer ova epizoda je posvećena upravo toj temi. Gosti sa kojima danas pričamo o njoj su Mohanji Devi Mohan. Mohanđi je čovek koji širom planete ima mnogo zvanja. Za neke je vođa globalne fondacije koja čini svet boljim mestom za život, za neke je učitelj i guru, za neke je vizionar, ali ga možda najbolje opisuje titula humaniste koji je posvetio svoj život svetu putem nesebičnog služenja. Devi Mohan, inače Mohanđijeva supruga, služi kao globalni ambasador Mohanji fondacije i predsjednice ACT fondacije koja je prisutna u 23 zemlje širom planete i čija je primarna svrha dobrotvorni rad. Epizoda koja sledi će ti ponuditi jednu potpuno novu perspektivu po pitanju toga šta tačno znači biti na duhovnom putu, čiji je konačni cilj samospoznaja. Mohanji Devi će nam kroz svoje lično iskustvo u ovoj epizodi dati dosta praktičnih i vrlo konkretnih saveta kako možemo sebe da razvijemo i osjetimo da smo daleko više od ovog fizičkog tela i još puno toga. Veliki učitelji kažu da se u životu ništa ne dešava slučajno, a verujem da se to odnosi na činjenicu što si danas ovde sa nama i nadam se da ćeš uživati u ovoj epizodi. Pre nego što nastavimo, želeo bih da se zahvalim svima vama koji nas podržavate putem Patreona ili putem PayPala. Linkove za ove platforme stoje u opisu ispod ovog videa. Također, ukoliko uživaš u ovom sadržaju koji kreiram u okviru Kosmičkih Putnika, najjednostavniji za tebe potpuno besplatan način da nas direktno podržiš jeste da zapratiš ovaj kanal i da lajkuješ ovu epizodu. Time automatski povećavaš verovatnoću da ugostimo što veći broj lokalnih i regionalnih autoriteta sa kojima možemo da obrađujemo sve ove važne teme koje onda ovde besplatno delimo sa tobom. Hvala ti puno na tome i vidimo se u Kosmičkim Putnicima. Devi Mohanji, welcome to Cosmic Travelers. It's such a great honor to have you here today. Thank you for being here and thank you for being in Serbia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I must admit that the journey of creating the Cosmic Travelers has been a really incredible one. Having the opportunity to meet all these different amazing souls and to learn from them and to share all these different kind of knowledges that can literally transform people's lives, including my own. And I'm so happy that this journey eventually led me to have this conversation with both of you here today. So I'm really looking forward to dive deep into many different subjects regarding what you do and your mission. But before we begin, I would like to ask you for a small introduction, especially for the part of our audience that isn't familiar with who you are or neither with your work. So I would like to ask you just to bring the entire concept of what is it that you do in a form of a mission. So what would be the mission? How would you describe the mission that you're on, and both of you are on actually? And why does this mission matter to both you personally and to all the people that are following what you do?
The whole effort and focus is on elevating the awareness of this generation and possibly beyond. When I say elevation of awareness, simply put, most people operate today in the level of personality in an unconscious manner. Greed, selfishness, and so many factors which are pretty much constricting by nature. So what I'm trying to bring to the world is an awareness that we can still exist with kindness, compassion, selflessness, unconditional love, sharing, caring, all those things, which expands you and which actually makes your character much more distinct and relevant. So, in short, my whole effort in this existence is to elevate the awareness of the people to that level, where acceptance is very deep. We accept ourselves, we accept everybody else, because the world is full of variety. And if you don't accept anything, then we are pretty much shrunk into a shell. We don't experience anything. Life is for experiencing. The whole life, from birth till death, it's for experiencing various aspects of existence. But if we are too restricted, it suffocates us and we fail to see. So I like to bring forth the real taste of freedom where mind is not controlling you with concepts. So that's exactly what I'm doing in the world. And plus, the approach or the reach is through humanitarian work. We work in many countries, do lots of different humanitarian works, disaster management to daily food, the whole range we are involved as per the need of the place. There's no particular agenda, plan, or any kind of a devised or strategized activity. It's all spontaneous, organic, and moving.
Mm-hmm. Well, both of you have an opportunity to work with the people from all around the world. And you said one word that somehow stuck in my mind, the acceptance. Why is acceptance so hard for many people? Why is it so hard for people to accept that there are different paths to liberation, that there are different ways in which we can live our own lives, that there are different paths which can lead us into deeper connection with our own selves?
Simply put, it's indoctrination. Mm. And the feeling of insecurity connected to it. That if I deviate from the path which I've been taught or I've been asked to follow, what will happen to me? I don't know. Mm. But when we face the fear, the other side is freedom. Freedom does not mean anarchy. It doesn't mean any kind of disorder. It's basically alignment with you. So fundamental acceptance is to ourselves, self-acceptance. If self-acceptance does not happen, we cannot accept anything outside. Mm. Everything outside is our extension. When we are angry, we see the world angry. When we are not well, we look at the world is unwell. So how we are, that's exactly how we experience the world. So in nutshell, if we start accepting ourselves, all our weaknesses, all our strengths, our existence as it is, then high level of contentment happens. When we resist, that goes away. Mm. So one of the reasons for this aspect, why we are not able to accept, is that we tend to compare. Mm. We tend to compete, imitate, judge. These are all separating us from the truth. All people are same. 8 billion people are 8 billion universes walking this earth. Mm. Everybody has potential, power, requirement, desire pattern. They all have value, relevance. So we cannot underestimate anybody. Mm-hmm. We are not the only one here. There are so many people. So acceptance starts with the whole nature of existence, including flora, fauna, animals, birds, all species. We coexist in harmony, and that also stabilizes us. How we think about others shows how mature we are in our life.
And Devi, as you work a lot with women, is it easier for women to get open to acceptance? Or is it more easier with men?
Well, I have noticed that we have like more than 70% of people attending the programs are usually women, because this is the sign of today's time. Women feel that calling to take the responsibility for personal growth, for awakening in consciousness. And it's a really beautiful time to witness how a path like this, where Mohanji, as he said, teaches just be you, be yourself, without all these masks, all the pretensions, you know. So this is not a path on which we have strict uniforms or strict rules per se. It's about you taking on that responsibility. And I see now many women who want to, take the responsibility, not just for education and so forth, but for going deep into a connection with the self. I'm just so happy to add my contribution also. And on this path, I have really, as a woman, blossomed in so many ways, and found, the way to be natural. Because it's just so tiring to continuously be something in the public and another thing privately, and to really invest so much of energy in maintaining the mask, you know. So finding a path where you can just really be yourself is for me just such a great blessing, apart from meeting Mohanji back in 2007. So it's great to be back in the studio. I was here earlier in Serbia.
About a year and a half. Right?
And now I never imagined I'll be back with Mohanji. So really good feeling. I love being here.
One point on that is that why ladies connect to the path of liberation better is because they understand, recognize, and also appreciate stability more. Because by nature, habitually, they nurture. So their nature is nurturing, motherhood. So they can understand what stability feels like. Because motherhood essentially needs stability to nurture the next generation. Not only human mothers, every mother. You need to have stability. And unless there is stability, there is no nurturing. When in unstable conditions, it's very difficult to nurture anything. Even life, for that matter, any kind of life. So that's one aspect. And also, the stability is rooted in our own nature. See, for example, we have orientation, which is a reflection of our nature. If we accept our orientation and if we adhere to the orientation, we are very stable. Because then our work is a pleasure. Otherwise, it's pressure. So when you go back to the fundamentals, we realize that all we need is to conform to our own nature. But we don't do that in the society. We try to conform to many other things like education, religion, social order, law, so many different things we try to conform. And then we miss ourselves eventually. We are struggling to position. So positioning has been affected in the societies for a long time. That's causing confusion and conflicts, even wars. So at this point in time, motherhood should be appreciated much more. Not just human motherhood, all mothers, because that will stabilize our world. Because then the wars will be less. If you are appreciating motherhood, womanhood, then there'll be less wars, less bloodshed, and there'll be more harmony and peace in the world.
The impression that I got when I started doing Cosmic Travelers, because of course like 70% of my audience is also are also women, I felt as though men feel as if they're gonna lose their masculinity if they start opening up to their emotions and like opening up to the different fields of self-development. So I would like to use this opportunity to ask you, what kind of message would you give to those men who feel that they're gonna compromise their masculinity as they're starting to get more open to the subjects that we're currently speaking about?
I would say simply be natural. You want to cry, you cry. You want to laugh, you laugh. Just like how we were when we were children. We had no problem with the society, or we were not worried about what 4 people will think. So being natural always stabilizes you. When you are expressing, you're not hoarding, storing, retaining. You're very free. That's when we start experiencing freedom. But that doesn't mean if your expression is violent and it hurts people, that can be accepted. I'm a strong advocate of non-violence, ahimsa, because violence hurts you more than others, the world. So it's important to be non-violent, accepting, and also expressing in a regulated way. See, when you witness your own expressions, you're already detached. It doesn't hit you, hurt you. So it's important that we express at least in a regulated way. And there's no shame to talk your truth because you have a story, you have your own unique history, which is not the same as another. So the world respects you for who you are.
And ladies find it attractive when you see a man who opens up to his vulnerability. We do. You know, it's not like you have to hit your chest like a gorilla or impress us with your fancy car. It's about, you know, seeing that vulnerability, because it takes guts to be vulnerable. You know, it's actually the greatest courage, and we feel it, you know, because we are kind of programmed to go into depth. as women, you know. So we want to connect at a deeper level. So unless a man shows the vulnerability, it's at least for me personally not attractive.
And pretensions don't last. Pretensions are all short-lived. Yeah. Sooner or later, the world will realize who you are. And also, many times, when a person speaks the truth, they are not accepted at that time. We look at the history, we know. All the people who spoke truth, which was eternal truth, were not really accepted at that time. So we may be taking a chance. That's why many people pretend. They like to conform to what is allowed, what is appreciated, or what is kind of a norm of the society. Even compromising their own need for expressing themselves fully. So I always feel that even if people don't understand you or respect you or appreciate you, be truthful, be yourself. Because sooner or later, the world will see who you are. And not everybody will understand you. Not everybody will misunderstand you. So there is a chance always. And there's nothing called the right way. Sometimes the right way, we think the right way, it may not be the right way. But what we can do is that our conscience should be clean, intention should be pure, and get moving.
Yeah. When I think about one of the reasons why people are having time speaking the truth is because like we are coming from a cultural heritage that used to kill people who spoke truth.
Yeah.
So probably I think there is an inherent fear in each and every one of us that we aren't going to be congratulated when we speak the truth. We're probably going to get punished.
Yeah.
You know, so there is also that part which usually when I speak
the fear factor as well.
Yeah, which is so strongly embedded into us, especially because there have been so much horrific things that have happened to the people who spoke truth. So I think speaking about this subject somehow helps people overcome that fear because they can see other people slowly starting to speak, and then they may also get the opportunity to share what they actually feel.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Because when you start expressing, you start valuing yourself more. You see, I don't know whether this is true, but I heard, when I was a student, I heard a quote from Karl Marx. Maybe it is not true, but I never read it elsewhere. But apparently, journalists contacted Karl Marx during his last days. So they asked Karl Marx, do you have anything to tell the world, like your final words? So he said, final words or last words are for those people who could not open their mouth when they could have opened the mouth. I never had that problem. 3,000 pages of Das Kapital is my expression. I have nothing more to say.
It's a great story. No, I never thought about Karl Marx as, from that point of view, right?
Different perspective.
But it's interesting for me because see, thing is, like if you take 8 out of 8 billion people, let's take 80% or 85% of people. They only live as per learned or known aspects. Means what they have acquired. They have not created anything. They learn books. They learned textbooks, books, various teachers, society. They collected the knowledge and they made it their own and they started existing like that, thinking they are all right. Even though they are opinions of people and they are only applicable for certain time, people chose to believe that this is eternal and they started living it. Then there are about 15% of people who have derived their own truths out of these acquired knowledge, collected knowledge. They have derived their own truth. These are the people who use logical knowledge. 15%, not many. And all the discoverers, all the scientists, all those people use logical knowledge and they discover things which is already existing. Then there are 5% or a few percent of people, maybe 1 or 2% people, they use awareness. That is beyond the acquired knowledge or logical knowledge. They are being aware. That awareness aspect, if you cultivate, anything can come out of it because you become aware of the whole energy of the universe. The frequencies, shifts of frequency shift, reason for various types of existence, reasons for creation of various types. So many things in the world, millions of creation. So why certain frequency comes as a personified form, a form. All these ideas or understanding will happen within. These people may not even speak, but there are such people in the world who are existing in completely awareness mode. They are neither depending on acquired knowledge, nor are they depending on logical knowledge. Very few people. These people are always considered by the usual society as eccentrics, mad people, or unacceptable people. And they crucify them. Because that is the way, that's the only thing they can do. If you don't understand them, you have to categorize them as evil or as unwanted or mad so that you can deal with them. But these are the real people. They set trends in the future. We can see that in the world all the time. The great trendsetters were all walking alone. Mm-hmm. They were different. They depended on themselves. And they had something clear and lucid to say. Not like a borrowed information, not acquired knowledge. Mm-hmm. They had something specific to say that may have even deviated from the usual norms of the society. But eventually they proved right. Mm-hmm. So we see this wide variety in the society. All we can do is to accept everybody. That's the best way to live in the society.
Mm-hmm. I remember the quote. I'm not sure who said it, but the quote goes something like this. If each and every one of us spoke about what we really know about, what a silent world we would live in.
Absolutely. So beautiful.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
So now as you open up this subject, that leads me to a question. I would like for you to share a bit more about your origins, how spirituality entered into your life, and how did this shift from consciousness while you weren't in the spiritual realms transformed after you started walking along the spiritual path?
I started with utter skepticism about this whole thing. I thought many are make-believe, pretension. I thought many of these so-called spiritual people are just escapists. This was my notion. And some of these have come from certain incidents which we read in the newspaper, etc. But then later on, I realized that there is, I was working in shipping industry all my life. My whole career was in shipping industry. So I was, while I was working, all that money can buy, I have seen, experienced. Then I realized there is something much more deeper, much more meaningful in life. That's when the inner exploration started. What is this thing which can satisfy us permanently? All these pleasures, aspects of pleasures, sensory pleasures are temporary by nature. Mm-hmm. They satisfy you only for some time. Then again you need it. Again you need it, and this is unending, never ending. So then I decided it is important to find something which will permanently satisfy me. The only way I found was less impact of our mind in real life. Less impact. Then the question was how to tackle the mind. Mind is just like an organ. It projects what is inside you. So mind doesn't have its own existence. Thoughts are like pillars holding the mind. When thoughts do not exist, mind collapses because mind cannot stay. So my idea of my connecting to myself, which came by default, I used to go to Himalayas quite often. I used to be in isolation, etc. And the connection to the spine came by nature. I started feeling my spine. Just feeling the spine, no meditation. No, there is no particular ritual. Just feeling the spine, knowing that I have a spine. And while walking, sometimes while I'm sitting, I constantly feel my spine, which we normally don't do. Unless we have back pain. Unless we have a back pain, we don't connect to the spine. Mm-hmm. So I started connecting to the spine naturally, and then awareness started shifting. That I started detaching from the world of noises, because thoughts became weaker. Thoughts were rushing at one time. Thoughts started reducing. Desires started reducing. Inclinations and tendencies started dropping. I don't really need too many things. I can be fine with what I have. Contentment factor increased. With what you have, you're contented. Nothing to chase, nothing to compare, nothing to compete, nothing to imitate. So that started developing deeper and deeper inside, along with the dropping of thoughts. Requirements became very less. I was still working. I was the country head of a company. So on the other side, there was a very active world of noise, which I'm involved in. And when I come home, I have a very active silent world also. This was there for some time. Then the silence deepened and deepened, where thoughts were almost not there. And I was almost like in a bubble for a long time. And then my whole perception changed. That when I look at people, I see them as pieces of energy going around. You know, everything, a bird, an animal, a flower, everything are energy expressions. Energy conglomerated becomes matter, so energy expressions. So when this realization happened, I don't see any difference between me and anybody else. The Mohanji factor became very silent because it's not important. This thing called Mohanji is not that important for me. So when my identity started dissolving, then universality took over. When your personal identity dissolves or reduces, that space is occupied by universality, multidimensionality. So that is how the evolution began. And it was a spontaneous, organic movement, not that I chose something. You can't choose anything. You don't know how fast it will happen. You don't know when it will happen, how it will happen. And also you don't know what it feels like to be silent inside. So all these are hypothetical things. Until you experience, you cannot say, I got it. So, and there was no way I could have tasted the honey, then I pursued the honey. There was nobody to give me that taste. So I was kind of blindly following, just having faith in myself, trust in myself that I will reach somewhere. And even if I don't reach, it's okay. So that level of full abandon and no agenda, no plan, just continuous, consistent practice. Morning hours, I sold my time for money in a company. Evening hours, I used that time to go within. So this was my balance. And then it deepened and to the level where the world got Mohanji. Again, but let me tell you one thing. I'm not special. There are so many people out there who have attained great levels of awareness, but many of them choose not to speak. Mm-hmm. So that's why, but I believe that sometimes you have to speak just as an expression that you can still live with silence as silence in a world of noises.
Was there any point at your life as you were transitioning from the usual way of living into a more aware way of living, some crucial point at which something snapped and you just realized that it became unbearable to stay in the usual way of living?
Yeah, that I would call, yeah.
Because
sorry.
Usually, no problem. Because usually when people really open up to the world of spirituality, it's induced by suffering. So people just don't want to suffer anymore.
Yeah.
And somehow the spiritual paths open by themselves.
Yeah.
So was that a case in your life?
Yes. 2 points I'll say. One is that the first part, what actually struck me so hard, it was dimensional destruction. This Mohanji factor has no value anymore. You know, all my life, all our lives, everybody nurtures a personality. We are struggling to maintain a personality, how we portray ourselves, project ourselves into the world outside. Mm-hmm. That broke up. I had no value for this Mohanji factor. Still, please remember, I was working in a company. I had a particular responsibility and also a very senior position. All those things are existing, but on the other side, I was completely breaking up, where the Mohanji factor became completely insignificant, while I was very significant in the society. So you can see the contrast. That was very, very painful for me to correlate, because if I stop practicing, I go back to patterns. If I practice, then I have to compromise my integrity or my effectiveness in the commercial world. So I had to really juggle with this state for at least a year or so. This is in 2003-4 time. But I continued. The second aspect of your question, the fear of pain retards us. You know, we don't like pain. We don't like any kind of confusion. We want everything to be smooth. So the fear of pain retards us, pulls us back. I experienced this in like an avalanche. One was in 2000, my precious daughter passed away in a road accident. She was crossing the road and a truck ran over her and she died. That was very, very painful for me because I was so deeply connected to her and almost like she was my world. I lost her. After that, that's a point in time I decided I will not be a victim of the pain. I have to make this pain into a purpose. Mm-hmm. If not, I'll be paralyzed. So I was not ready to be paralyzed as yet. I thought I was only in my 30s. I decided I should fight. My daughter left me when I was 35. So then series of pains happened. I invested my hard-earned income in a property. The builder did not complete it and he vanished. So investment was gone. Then I had some investment gone and also I had some bank loans. So I had some burden also apart from the investment. Then I shifted all my materials to India and that was systematically stolen because there was no particular guard there at that time. And I lost most of the stuff. Plus there was a court case connected to the loss of theft, because somebody filed a complaint and we had to attend to the court to confirm the criminal act, etc. So anyway, it's nuisance value, money gone, wealth gone, and also you have all the nuisance connected to it. Then finally job also. At one point in time, I lost my job as well. So whatever I was trying to hold on, it was collapsing. Then another aspect was I started developing a skin allergy, a peculiar skin allergy where the skin opens up and blood comes. So I can't wear any shirt which is light colored because it'll be like I was fighting with somebody and I'm bleeding. Mm. And this was very painful. You can't sleep in the night with that pain. So every aspect, everything, wherever I was trying to hold, that was breaking up. So there was no way I could have hold on to anything. And it was very difficult. At that time I was alone. And such times, even if you call a friend, so-called friend, they may not pick up your call because they don't want to talk to a loser. Because you are branded already, because everything you had, my family, my property, my wealth, my money, everything gone, job gone, and also not well. So nobody wants you at that time. So I experienced that kind of a state also. But one thing I didn't stop all this time was my practice. I was very consistent on my practice. I decided nothing external should affect my internal. Because things external are turbulent, stormy, tornado. All these situations are going on around me. But internally, I'm trying to find a space where I am unbothered, not bothered. And I found it. And I could go there anytime. Not escapism, not escapism. It was actually a place where it was a state where you settle down fully inside. And that settlement is very powerful because nothing external can give you that kind of peace as you settle down inside. You don't really want relationships. You are not affected by money, wealth, no wealth, relationship, no job, with job. Everything is okay and you are stable. And I faced so many betrayals and problems with people whom I associated also at that time. Many people cheated me or cheated money or things from me. Also unkept promises by people. All those things happened, but I was unaffected. Then it carried on and on and on. So this is part of it. Actually, when you start looking for something really permanent, like stability, excuse me, like stability, so many things which are impermanent may break up and go. Not in everybody's life, because when you are connected to a powerful master, I didn't have any connections such that at that time. I met many powerful masters later, but those days when I was forming into something or evolving into something, I didn't have any connections of that kind. I wish I had. But when you have that kind of a purpose in life and you're walking a path and you're clear about that walk and you're consistent about it, so many things drop off. They drop off. And also at the most inconvenient times, so that you you have to leave it. You have to leave it, and you have to let go. No other way.
So at that time, you didn't have any guidance from any spiritual masters?
I didn't have.
So,
I was only doing one practice, which was feeling my spine. That was the only instruction. And that instruction also came like I was sitting and meditating in a cave in Himalayas, which is called Vasishtha Cave. I love to go there even now. Sage Vasishtha lived there, meditated there, did penance there. So I love that. That's a guru of Lord Ram. Mm-hmm. So I go there, I used to go there, and I was sitting there, not knowing what to do, just feeling myself. I always still say, start feeling yourself more and more, because then you can go deeper realms of you, go deeper and deeper into you. So I was sitting there, and as if somebody told me, feel your spine, connect to your spine. That was the only instruction. That piece of instruction I developed to a particular practice where every day morning, 2:30 a.m. I used to get up, take a bath, sit down, 3 a.m. onwards up to 7:30, 8, sometimes 8:30, completely being in the spine, vertical breathing up and down, feeding the spine. And it was almost like it kind of created a bubble around me. I was almost like I was sitting in a bubble where the external world is external, outside of me. I have nothing to do with it. Then I come out into the daylight and get on with my work. And then I get back to this every evening and every morning. So that was my practice. Nobody ever taught me this. And even I started meeting masters of substantial nature. Of course, I had a spiritual mother who's still alive, Mata Vanamali. And she was very kind. I used to go and stay with her in Himalayas, etc. But she was not she told me, I'm your mother, not your teacher. So there was no teaching. But later when I met people, I was already known as Mohanji. That was from 2012 onwards. So I was already known as Mohanji, and that was a different relationship.
Yeah, I would like for you to share that part of life where you actually met and how eventually you started to teach. Because if I understood correctly, through some of the information that I found on your website, Devi, you somehow induced this way of exposing for you, so you can like share knowledge with many different people. Was that primarily for you, or like after you met? Like, how did that part of life actually look like, and how did you actually meet? I would like to hear a bit more about that part.
Yeah, I have a whole series called My Journey with Mohanji on YouTube, so you can watch that if you'd like.
Yeah, we're going to share it.
But in short, it was orchestrated from higher realms of consciousnly, I would say. It was not a chance meeting. And I did pray sincerely that if I have ever to marry or have a real committed life partner, it would have to be somebody who is spiritually highly evolved, but unassuming, and with whom I can serve the world together. So that was what I prayed when I first visited Sai Baba, a great master from India. And then I met Mohanji in January 2007. There was a first ever mega yoga event. And I met him at this phase when he was in silence, when he was kind of already tapped into these higher realms of consciousness. And when I saw his eyes, I saw that he was not fully external. Like I could see this depth, like most of him is somewhere within, but he is operating in the outside world. But I could see that he's at the same time aware, as he says, of his spine. So he was being that, he was beaming that energy already. And we slowly started communicating, and he had a podcast like this, which is really funny. It's called, it was called Mohan's World. And because I had a near-death experience, he invited me to interview me about this. And that's where there was a next level of connection. But nice. It was not intended, our meeting was not intended like, oh, let's, flirt, let's get to know each other. It just, we were both not in that space. But then slowly it started, this connection, and it was strengthened by telepathic messages that he was receiving about me. And it's like a bit
what were those messages? Which one? Can you share
was,
like one of those? You don't need to share everyone, but all of the messages, but just.
Well, it was mostly about who she is and why she has come. Because I asked this question.
Yeah.
Because I used to have communions then. If you really want, I can tell you something very interesting just before this.
Please share.
How the connection with Master started. I was a general manager of a company in Dubai, and I was sitting in my office, and I got a message on Yahoo, those time yahoo.com, that an intergalactic master wants to speak to you.
You got a message through Yahoo?
Through Yahoo.
Really? Messenger, right?
No, it's an email. It's an email.
Yeah.
And a number in American number. And one lady has replied. So I just trashed it because it's almost like you won a lottery, which I have never.
Yeah, you have a cousin from Africa that left you like $10 million.
$10 million,
Yeah.
So similar name. I told you I was very skeptical in my life. So with all these, I'm very skeptical. Whenever people try to show off, I push back because I'm very skeptical. So I didn't reply. I deleted it. Then that was the mail I used to use even for some of my professional communication. So I didn't want that professional communication to be affected. So all those I clean up every day. Again, 1 week later, same message. We know that you deleted this message, but this is serious and somebody wants to speak to you. Please call this number. So I just typed reply, how much money? Because I thought this is for money. So a reply came, we didn't ask you for money. This is serious. There is somebody waiting to talk to you. Call this number. So I thought, okay, what's the big deal? I can call the number. So I took an appointment. It was next Sunday. Next day, that Sunday I called. And Sunday is a working day in Dubai. So I took half-day leave. I went home and I called. First thing was, it was a very, very feeble, old woman's voice initially. Mm-hmm. And she asked me the question, do you have sufficient money in your account? I said, yeah, it's my company's phone, so I can pay later. Okay, if you have this may take some time. This conversation may go for some time. I said, no problem. I said, can I invite him? I said, sure. And her voice, while she was talking to me, turned and it became a male voice, very deep male voice. I was completely surprised. I never actually trusted this whole thing. I was very skeptical, but the whole thing evolved. And this man, whoever spoke to me, and when I asked his name, he said that doesn't matter. So he didn't tell me the name, and said everything about my life which nobody will know. Very personal details, he said. So there's no way he can know these things unless he's supernatural. And then I asked one question: why did Ammu die like this? In a tragic way. So he said, you have very big job to do in the world, mighty job. You are successful in business. You can continue like that in business, no problem. But that's not what you're here for. You have a big job to do. So to push you to that mission of yours or to the real work of yours, she existed in a very dramatic way. And hence everything, whatever questions I had, he answered. I didn't have too many questions, but he was talking more. And he kind of navigated me towards this idea that there is a work to do. There are work to do. This is 2003 or 4, around that time. And then he asked me, this was about 40 minutes of talk. Towards the end, he asked me, is there something I can do for you? Normally, he was telling we, not I. So he was always talking in a plural way. We all the time. So I said, I would like to continue to speak to masters of your realm. He said,
masters of
your realm, of your
your realm.
Your realm. Sorry. And then he said, yeah, I'll arrange that. And that was the end of conversation. Then I tried to send a message to this woman. She never replied. That was it. So there was no communication further. But after that, so many communications started to me. One of them was about when she met me. I asked, why are you sending a woman to me? I'm not interested in any relationship now because I pretty much found silence inside and I'm moving forward. So they said it's inevitable. This connection has to happen. So I accepted that. I accept everything they say. And it evolved into wherever we are now. And if it was not for her, I would not have opened up because I had no plan like that. You know what I was planning? I will always work in the shipping industry. I love this job. And money was good. Money was not bad at all. And I had independence, freedom. And I know the job. So it was effortless. And I thought I will teach whatever I know to the selected people who comes to me. Otherwise, I do my own meditations. And I will have my life alone. This was my plan. But then that was not the plan of the tradition where she brought me, she actually brought me to the public. And then the whole meditations came, all those came eventually one by one. And it took a different course completely.
And then from my end, I always, ever since I read Autobiography of a Yogi, I mentioned last time in my interview, it's a book that changed my life.
It's an incredible book.
I was fascinated by exactly that, what he says, sourcing from the higher consciousness and people bringing forth that living knowledge pertaining to present time, which is so relevant. And for me, this is the most precious contribution to humanity that you can tune in, like download from the consciousness and share. So when I met Mohanji and we started living together, sometimes I would enter the room and I just see him like sitting with spine straight and typing something, you know. And then at the end, when he finishes the typing, I would couldn't wait to see what precious knowledge just came through. And he had these super amazing blogs on various topics. They were just so powerful. So I used to edit the grammar a little bit because I did my master's in English and it was my professional deformation. I have to. So we were joking. I said, yeah, you deliver the essence, then I do the makeup. And so I was involved a little bit and so, happy to be there and to feel that energy. And then a key moment was one time when we were already living together when he sat in that kind of altered state of consciousness and started typing very fast, and I could see that he's channeling or downloading. But this time it was not a blog, it was a meditation. So that was the very first meditation he received. It wasn't just the text of the meditation, it was also instructions on what kind of background music should be used, how many candles, all sorts of details, the full package came together. And he called it the Power of Purity meditation. And until today, it's one of our favorite meditations. It's offered free of cost on mohanji.org website. I translated it into Serbian language and many people have benefited from it. It's like taking a bath internally and unhooking from that gravitational pull and things that pull us down. So it's very powerful meditation. And I could just feel there was this amazing energy when it came through. But Mohanji was just so introverted and he felt like, I can't be chasing people. You come here, I'm gonna teach you something, I'm gonna conduct some meditation. So that was, I really didn't feel like I did much. I simply gathered 10 or so people in one Indian friend's apartment in Dubai, and we just did this meditation, and they were just zapped.
Bam.
They were just wow, what just happened? Then he recorded the meditation. I was also there in that studio in Dubai where he recorded, and it was without any mistake. He just flowed in a very beautiful flow. Also, when I translated into Serbian and recorded, I felt the same energy. It's something overtakes and you're just an instrument, and it's perfect. The way it's from A to Z, perfect. So that meditation really created a difference. And then he started doing bigger programs. And then the next shift was when he started delivering Shaktipat, which is a transfer of energy to the third eye and the crown. And that's very much part of our spiritual tradition, which actually speeds up the process of spiritual evolution a lot and helps people a lot. So that combination of meditation and Shaktipat. And then he started satsangs, which is question and answer sessions. For that group of people who are right there, he could sometimes just speak impromptu. He could like read their minds and gather the questions, or somebody raises the hand and asks. And that became a modus operandi for him through all his programs internationally. So a combination of different techniques, question and answers, Shaktipad. We have also techniques for cleansing and alignment, healing, called Maitri method. So many different things just started coming one after the other. But it all started with that one meditation, power of purity. So that changed the whole show.
It's the one aspect is that, like as she said, I was doing a podcast program. Mm-hmm. So I met many so-called spiritual people, but I found that they are pretty insecure. And I didn't want to be in that category. Because if you're spiritual, you should be stable. You should not be insecure. If people come to you or not come to you, you shouldn't be worried.
So true.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go into a category of like another cattle in the whole shed. Not that category. Secondly, I didn't want to sell God for a living. I had a good profession. I enjoyed that profession. I didn't want to sell God or spirituality for a living. And so it was a very tricky situation. On one side, I've been pushed by the tradition and the masters to go out and speak to people. On the other side, I was reluctant to leave my profession. So she actually came in the middle where she became kind of the exponent of what I'm standing for. So that was like a relief for a thing. Like, for example, I don't have to be in the open all the time. I don't have to do everything. Secondly, this meditation, the first meditation, that got translated into various languages almost organically by itself, and it started reaching people. It started spreading. Not that we spread it. I never did any marketing. Even now I don't do marketing. I always tell people, don't canvas people for me. Announce our program. If people have eyes to see, they will see. If those who come, I believe they are sent by the people who want to elevate themselves. And also, when I was reluctant to come out into the open and speak to people, one of the masters whom I was communicating with at that time said, that's not your problem. You don't have to go out anywhere. People will come to you. Understand, those who come to you are sent by us. And till now, that is the truth. I don't know where people are coming from. No, not that I'm canvassing. I'm speaking normally. I don't promise anything. I do not promise enlightenment. I do not promise anything. I never told anybody I am a guru. I'm their guru especially. I never told. Nor I told anybody I'm enlightened or I'm dissolved or I am consciousness. I never told. I'm just being a natural person, and those who feel connected, they come. And those who have real purpose of elevation of awareness, they stay. Some of them do not stay because that's not their plan. They come to sniff around, they check around, etc. That's quite fine. That's fine for me. So this whole process, the huge dilemma was being in public, because I was a very private person always, even now. I'm very private, and also I'm introverted. So this was very difficult for me to go out and market myself. So I never marketed myself. Even now I don't. So announce, no advertisement. You can announce but don't advertise. You can inform but don't canvas. So these principles we still follow globally. Now we are in 6 continents. We have in 12 countries we have spaces. So we're growing rapidly. Now her relevance is that she is still the link to the public. I'm still the introverted aspect of it.
You know what? Hearing you speak about all these subjects, it made me think about, I got this impression that you are still actually in the shipping business. It's just that now you're shipping spirits, right?
To higher awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
Some shipping is happening.
So the cargo changed.
Talking cargo, difficult cargo.
It's, thank you so much for sharing this. So you mentioned, I have several questions that came as you were speaking. So the first one, you mentioned Shaktipat transfer. You said that's part of your tradition. So is it a part, is it just a part of Hinduism in general, or is it a part of certain denomination of Hinduism? Mm-hmm. Because we can hear Shaktipat more and more. We can hear about this kind of energy transfer, even in popular media. So I would like to clarify a bit to all the people who are currently listening to us. So to which tradition Shaktipat
Yes, Shakti.
Yeah, it's connected to.
Yeah, Shaktipat, there are various transfers. From a guru to a disciple, or from higher to lower, or from master to disciple. In different ways there are transfer. But that's the fundamental is that even when I'm speaking to you, there is an energy transfer. When two people meet and communicate, when they have eye contact, there's already an energy transfer. So this is a channelized energy transfer. So there is a thing called pranapat, which is basically we have 5 moving energies. Energy moves in 5 directions to stabilize our life. That is the functional pranas. Prana means energy that moves in 5 different directions to stabilize our equilibrium or life. To stabilize that, to align that, we call pranapat. Then Shaktipat is that there is a Shakti, the energy. Shakti means power, energy inside us, which is latent. And activation of Shakti is what we call Shaktipat, which activates you so that you reach higher levels of awareness, also experiencing the higher. Let's say higher, not in spiritual terms there are various things to told, but let's say higher means not the usual awareness level, higher awareness level where you are in a state of awareness of consciousness. Consciousness means pure energy operating the entire universe. So my Shaktipat is different. What I am delivering to people is also alignment, not activation. I do not activate, because activation needs supervision. If you're activating somebody, activating the energy, you need to supervise them. Otherwise, if they cannot handle it, they will probably have the opposite experience of what we expect. Such as elevated awareness, they could have traumatic experience. So I don't go to that. Whatever Shaktipat is a transfer of energy, I do it on the third eye to align you. This is the seat of 72,000 meridians moving in the body. So I transfer it here. So it completely overhauls. It removes the karma, the junk, which is the emotional junk inside, and it kinds of cleanses you up. And not in one time. Sometimes it takes time because we have collected it over time. One day you cannot change anybody. So my Shaktipat is for alignment, and it was working wonderfully. In those days, people used to come for that, etc. Nowadays, I don't do too many things because I'm not in one country for long. So activity, public activity also reduced a little bit or increased in a more broader sense. So that is Shakti. Then there is another thing called Shivapat. Shivapat means transferring what you are into another, even as a unit or completely. So when a guru or a high master used to leave, they used to transfer this to somebody who's completely empty. Completely. What he is or what his consciousness entails, that's completely transferred to somebody who's receptive. Reception simply means, eligibility simply means you are empty. You are completely empty and open so that you can be the other. So this is Shivapat. Shivapat I used to do earlier, means I used to give a piece of my consciousness to people, but then I found that many people don't have the maturity to handle it. They get excited or they get, sometimes disaligned in that way because they become emotional or they try to misuse it. So I don't do that anymore. So all these aspects we have in our system. But Shakti worship is usually connected to the 10 Mahavidyas. Shakti is simply the moving energy, the spirit aspect, which is moving energy aspect, we have it. And soul is connected to the immovable universal energy aspect. Soul is connected because soul is eternal. It cannot be destroyed. It is always existing. When it leaves the body, like we know that it's a marriage between gross and the subtle. Life is a marriage between gross and the subtle. Gross means physical body, mind, intellect, ego. Subtle means spirit and soul. They come together, we call it life. When they separate, we call it death. So awareness of the moving energy within is the worship of Shakti. And there is a moving energy in the whole cosmos, whole universe. That is how the yantras, you must have seen, there are designs and circuits which people worship. They represent how the energy moves in the entire cosmos. So people, great masters through awareness have found all these things. They have clarity about all these, how the energy works within the body and outside the body. And it's pretty much the same. If there are 72,000 nadis, meridians operating in our system, energizing our entire body, making our whole infrastructure like the organs and the circuits all function. Similarly, there is something going on in the universe as well. And everything is living beings. All are living, whether it is matter or non-matter, all are living beings. Everything has energy. When there is energy, there is always frequency. And every aspect of creation is another representation of another frequency. So thousands and thousands and millions of frequencies, they are all existing in the world. So our point is that we are not one-dimensional, unidimensional. We are multidimensional. We have much more scope than we think we are. But unfortunately, we are addicted to one personality, one system, and we think, okay, this is it. And then that's covered and coated by emotions, ownerships. This is mine, this is yours. So all these things are locking us, blocking us. So Shakti worship, I don't promote, because Shakti worship is activation mostly, and activation needs supervision.
Kundalini activation.
Yeah. So I don't promote it, not because it's bad. It needs supervision. And I'm not in one place more time. When I'm in one place, we will do so many things.
Yeah, because especially if we look at the modern day civilization and how we live our lives filled with poison, filled with different kind of even physical poison and emotional and psychological poison, sometimes I feel that it can get quite dangerous to play with these kind of energies if we aren't prepared enough, and this energy arises through our body, which is intoxicated with, on many different levels. So I think I usually, when I hear people speak about these subjects, I get a feeling that one should get somehow prepared prior to awakening the energy of Shakti within them. Does that have any basis? Like
yes, the system is like that. The system is like a basic on a chanting level and connection level, to the level where there are various layers of evolution, where you can actually be one with the moving energy, the Shakti aspect, and the latent energy, the serpent energy or Kundalini energy, which is the most powerful. And when you tap into that, if your channels are not open, it can be traumatic. That's why
central meridian mainly.
Central meridian should be open. So that's why I do not recommend it to people who are not able to give time to it, who are only using this as a part of their exercise. Because don't play with it. If you're serious, you can do great wonders with it, because you can have multiple dimensions and experiences of multiple dimensions. You can catch and connect to various frequencies. Everything is possible, but you need to spend time. See, for example, I used to have very, very strict regime about a time. I was focusing on a particular time for my activity, and I never compromised that time. So you need to be stable with some kind of a time and a discipline to stabilize yourself. If you're not stable, if the platform is not stable, you can't build on it. So, but everything is existing. You know, it's not like a book knowledge. It's all experiential spirituality. You got to experience it, otherwise it's not yours. See, so much of information, if you process it, it becomes knowledge. And knowledge, when you experience it, becomes wisdom. So I'm talking about wisdom, where you have experienced it to a level where you know it exists. Otherwise, I was always skeptical about all these things. People do bizarre practices and say that I achieved this, etc. I never bought all those ideas, you know, but I have to feel it. I have to experience. Otherwise, I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't believe in it.
And the humanitarian work is another important dimension. It's like when you think, okay, you want to activate this divine energy in you and beam it out, but what are you going to do with it? You know,
yeah, exactly.
It's not something you keep for yourself. So developing that a connection with humanity, with Mother Earth, with all the species, giving our contribution, actually, directing that energy into something really pure and selfless. is a very important aspect. So I wanted to clarify, you mentioned Hinduism. We are a spiritual path. We don't necessarily fall into any bracket of any dogma or any religion. And this is a path of Raja Yoga, or royal, you could say, path. And that's why we have different elements. So humanitarian work or karma yoga, there is the knowledge aspect, like what we get a lot through Mohanji, question and answer sessions, certain books and so forth. And spiritual practice with discipline, and then all put together. But mainly the responsibility is on you and being aware all the time. So we don't use intoxicants. And it's not, I always to share with my friends, I don't suppress anything. I just don't get attracted to alcohol, cigarettes, drugs or anything. It just doesn't attract me at all. Because I just really love the feeling of being aware and there. And initiations that Mohanji gave us, where we connect with the spine, as he says, the central axis, and being there, and then sending that energy through the palms, or simply opening your heart. It's just so higher than anything I could get through this escapism from the world, right? So it's the simple technique, for example, conscious dancing. It's very tangible because you move the body, awareness is within, and when you sit down at the end, you can feel every cell of your body vibrating, and everybody feels it. Then there are other subtler techniques, what he teaches, that takes a bit more maturity, so that takes a bit more time. But there are different, you could say, levels of subtlety that you can explore on this path. And there's something for everybody. That's why we have different platforms. So if you're a creative person, you may want to start with World Consciousness Alliance or some of these platforms. Or for children, for teenagers, yoga, breathing techniques, dancing, this and that. So there's like so many different options, but all of them have one thing in common. They take you within, and you realize that you have the responsibility. So Mohanji says, I'm just like a road sign. He doesn't tell anybody, what to see, just where to look. He kind of inspires, directs, but you have to walk the path. You have to really take on that responsibility. And when you feel the calling, you will do it. Otherwise, as he says, we don't impose anything. We are simply here to live the truth and just be in that frequency.
You cannot push. You should never push. You should never force anybody. Because when you force, they may take it, but then if they are not ready for it, they may hate it later. Yeah. Another thing is that, like what Devi was telling, you attain a level of self-sufficiency where you are contented, even with food, without food, any situations coming, you're contented. And like she said, if you activate, you have to channelize. Otherwise, you don't know what to do with it. So many people suffer because of that. They do huge activation work, but no channelization. But you can't sleep like that with all the activation. So a social service, selfless service should accompany it. So when you activate, that activation should be channelized for good work, selfless work, so that it's a pure work, so it further purifies you. So that these kind of things are very complex actually. Not complicated, complex. So we have to deal with it properly. You use the right manual for the process, then it's very effective. If it is trial and error, sometimes it could be detrimental.
Yeah, and it feels as if though there are so many traps regarding the spiritual path, especially when we start speaking about elevating different kind of energies. The late Ram Dass had a really nice lecture where he spoke about when the knowledge from the East came to West, the knowledge itself, how can I say, the people who used the knowledge got the results, but they didn't realize that this knowledge also somehow got attached to their ego. So they didn't solve their ego problems, and they received some knowledge. So usually when you said like that people should channel this energy that they receive, but sometimes I feel, especially in the spiritual world, that people strive to find the technique that can actually help them to amplify their spiritual ego. So like, which is like one of the really horrific traps, because you can feel the effects of the technique, so and it's not a make-believe. You can feel the effect, but if you haven't solved problems with your ego, it's going to be incredibly destructive and deceptive and, somehow harmful for the people around you. Do you encounter this, like in your workshops, or like when people say, Mohanji, please teach me this technique? Like, do you feel this, or like how do you communicate these types of risks with the people that follow you?
Yeah, I don't get too excited with people's requests of that nature.
Yeah.
Like I was one example. I was in America. So an African American came to me, said, Mohanji, you have the power. Can you give me Shivapath? Means part of my consciousness in him. So I looked into his eyes. I said, I can give you, but can you take it? So he looked into my eyes for some time and said, no. And he walked away. So direct, I normally answer directly, not deny it. I don't deny, but I answer directly. And also sometimes when you give something which people are not eligible for, not only they cannot handle it, they can even disturb their own people. It can be disturbance for everybody. People can go eccentric, etc. So I don't enter into any of those zones. I normally like organic growth into awareness. And so I only recommend organic movement. Organic means natural, organic. So I don't teach anything which is like a sensation oriented. So I don't do that. And another thing is that mostly youth are getting attracted to my teachings, youth in the world. That's probably because it's direct, tangible, and because youth want answers. They don't want theories. You can't tell them, oh, it's written in this book or somebody said so. They're not interested. The fastest growing philosophy in the world is atheism. People are following atheism because they are fed up of this indoctrination. And I think most of the religious outfits are now recognizing that path. I don't teach religion. I'm not promoting any religion. I have my belief system. Likewise, I respect all belief systems. And I don't impose my belief system on another person, nor I disrespect anybody.
Yes.
So this is my way of doing it. And many times, the problem is like Rumi story of Rumi. His guru, when asked, how did you meet Rumi? He said, when I saw an ocean coming to me and I met him. So when Rumi asked, what should I do? He said, throw all your books into the river, into the sea, and come back. So this is approximately because now what happens is people are book oriented, not experience oriented. The moment you start becoming experience oriented, books become not so significant. It can guide you still. Books can guide you, but books cannot ensure experience. But the moment you become experience oriented, you become self-sufficient. Because you kind of know everything and you don't have to know anything. See, one of the things which I felt when I was deeper and deeper into silence is that I know nothing. And also immediately the idea came, I don't have to know anything. And one aspect that, usual people exist for fulfillment. There is a desire, there's a fulfillment, mind is at peace for some time. After a while, when you are connecting to yourself more and more, you still have a desire, but you don't really need a fulfillment. Like, for example, I have a desire for a coffee, but I'm not really worried if I get a coffee. So the thought becomes weak because we are not fulfilling it. The usual process is desire, thought, expression, like I need a coffee, and action, having the coffee, then the experience of it, then the memory of it. Like that, this goes our usual cycle of existence. But here, second level, you have a desire, but you're not doing anything to fulfill it. Already you start experiencing freedom, that I'm not bound by this feeling. Third level, what happens? Because you are not fulfilling your desires, the desire itself becomes weak. The thoughts would not come. They say in the scriptures that thoughts will be like pedestrians walking in the street outside your house. You wouldn't know them, you don't care about that. Fourth state is, because thoughts are not existing, the whole mind collapses along with the mind matter, which is ego and also intellect. It becomes minimal. Not that it's gone, it's there. But you will know who you are. You will have all these things, you will know everything, but you are not bound by anything. Total detachment. From that state, you cannot go back. When the mind collapses, when the thoughts perish, mind collapses, ego collapses, and intellect also collapses, you're not chasing anything. you are not affected by anything, you will be reflecting then. You are not projecting anything because the projecting part is gone. Usually mind projects what you think to the world. Mind projects what you are to the world. That drops. Then you don't project anymore. You reflect. You become like a mirror. So if you come to me with the desire of a coffee, I will also say I would like to have a coffee. It's not mine. I'm just reflecting you. So your life becomes completely strange. Maybe people won't understand you fully. People may not fully recognize you, understand it, because you are reflecting, not projecting. So at that stage, your ego will not bother you because there's no ego. You don't even know that you know something. You don't know, you are not affected by what you are in the world. Your social position, your relevance, your recognition, nothing affects you. But then again, how people, like a mirror, like a tall mirror, and a person comes in front, the mirror will faithfully, honestly express that person. That person goes, another person comes, honestly that mirror will reflect that person. Like that you will be reflecting. Whole life is like that. So there's a big shift then. You know, that shift happens after a long time because even if there is one thought, the mind stays to project that thought. So the process is pretty tedious, and before you become that empty state, so many fears, trapped emotions, trapped desires, ownership related activities, me and mine, all these things have to go through the system. They manifest and they trouble you. Hey, that's very important for me. Let me keep that. Enough. That one thing you keep will be the botheration for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing about this topic in such a practical way. You managed to explain in such a practical way some really subtle spiritual states of mind, which actually isn't a spiritual state of mind, but just a spiritual state. I remember reading about how you came into the world of spirituality, and as you were meditating, if I remember correctly, you gave the analogy that like this process became like a certain fire that lit up, and as soon you would have some emotion, some process, you would just need to throw it into the fire. Yeah. And the longer you kept it, you know, the fire, you know, got weaker. So just burn it, leave it. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing this. I must ask, so who were the masters?
Whom I met.
Yeah. I mean, whom you met, but like not necessarily in a physical realm. So like, who were the masters with whom you got in touch with? During your path. Yeah,
it was actually not me in getting in touch with them. The first was my connection to Shirdi Sai Baba. That also, I did not know anything about him. And a company who was like those days, there was Star TV. I think perhaps it's still there, Hong Kong based.
Can we present him a bit, maybe to the audience who doesn't know who Shirdi Baba is?
Shirdi Sai Baba. I will tell. So I was asked to come for an interview on management, and it was shot on a beach. So the interviewer asked me questions, and the camera is on front of, and we walking. So while this was happening, when they parked the car next to the car park, there was a small shrine of Sai Baba. So it is my habit to bow down to every master. I bow down to Jesus, I bow down to Baba, because I respect everybody. So when I was bowing down to Baba, I did not know anything about him, except that he was living in Shirdi. Shirdi is from 4 hours from Mumbai. So I didn't know anything. So then I reached Mumbai, and I asked, I wanted to pick up a book about Baba. So I picked up his story. I almost read half of it by the time I reached Shirdi. So Sai Baba was living in Shirdi in a dilapidated mosque and left the body in 1918, 100 years ago, 102 years ago. He was living in that dilapidated mosque, which didn't have a roof, and he was a powerful master. But many people those days thought he's a madman because his lifestyle is...
Like you said at the beginning of this interview.
Yeah.
He just went by his own experience.
And he was very powerful. And I did not connect to him before this incident. But of course, I have done a series of videos about Sai Baba in Mohanji Official. YouTube channel, Mohanji Official.
Yeah, we're going to share it.
But the main point was that it was Baba's call to reach there. I reached Shirdi within about 15 days after I started reading the book. Almost like he pulled me there. And the first experience I had when I reached in the evening, that was time for the temple to close. His tomb, where his body is kept, that they were about to close. So I rushed and I got seated. I sat there on the floor, and my whole body had vibrations. And as if somebody came and embraced me, and goosebumps, that kind of feeling. So my prayer was, Baba, all these people have come from far away, from different places to see you. Bless them all. That was my only prayer. And then I came out, then I had series of experiences with him. But second aspect, this is after a couple of years, I was having dinner with an American friend of mine. We were across talking to each other. Suddenly I got a message inside saying that those days I used to have these communions. I used to get messages and with clarity. That also I would like to tell the audience. See, there are projections from mind which we think as messages. They are not real. But when real messages come, that will have something to do with real life. So how to differentiate between a mental projection and a true message from a master is, when a master's message comes, it will have clarity. And it will have a direct application to life. But a mental projection will have no clarity. Or even if you have clarity, it will have no application, or application may fail also. So I was asked to come to the meditation room. So I didn't talk to the American guy. I went. I sat in the meditation room. Or I can only remember sitting. Then I thought I have to meditate. Then suddenly a voice came, don't meditate, I'm working on you. And then I sat down, and it was almost like pouring soda water in a cup. Bubbles started coming from inside. It was tickling actually inside, and it was like moving up all the time. Then I asked him, is that you, Baba? I thought it's Shirdi Sai Baba, because with whom I had a better communion at that time. Then for a short span of time, I saw the image of Babaji in lotus posture. Just a few seconds, just for me to see. And then I was confused. I never prayed to Babaji. I never connected to him. How come he appeared?
Mahavatar Babaji.
Babaji of Autobiography of a Yogi. Yeah, that Babaji. Then I sat, and then again it was intensifying, slowing down, as if my organs inside were moving up and down. So many sensations inside the body. And I was sitting. It would have taken about half an hour to 40 minutes. Again, I have my question. Babaji, is that really you? Or am I imagining? Then it started subsiding. No answer. It all settled down.
I feel it now on top of my head as you're talking about it.
So then I yeah. Then he listens, of course, they listen. So then I sat there for another 10 minutes. Nothing is happening. I got up, I walked, and I was living in a hotel where this American was in my next room. We were in adjacent rooms. So from this meditation hall to the gate, there's about 200 feet away. It's far away. So by the time I reached the gate, he was standing at the gate. Because I didn't say bye to him, right? We were having dinner. Suddenly I got up and left. So when I reached the gate, he looked at me, he looked into my eyes and said, so you doubted it's Babaji. So Babaji already gave an answer to him, said, this fellow is doubting me. So then the connection started. Then he told me, because he was asked to come to India by Babaji while he was in California. So that is his story. I've mentioned that story in the Babaji Beyond Definitions blog, which is available in YouTube. Not YouTube, it's in the internet. So then he said, Babaji will talk to you further. I was waiting, couple of years, nothing. And then another communion happened after I met her. This was in 2008.
Yes, 8.
That was a very deep communion, 8 hours or so. So I was the CEO of a company. I had lunch, but my stomach was churning. I was feeling uneasy. No reasons. Food was good, everything was okay, but I was feeling uncomfortable. I thought I'm falling sick. So I called my secretary. I told her, look here, I can't stay. Please cancel all my appointments in the evening. I'm going home. So I decided, I sat in the car and I can only see the side, the markings on the side of the road. I can't see anything much. I can see the lights the traffic lights, but apart from that marking. And so I drove carefully, and it was very close. I mean, I was living very close to the office. I reached and I parked, and then I came up 3rd floor to my room. I didn't even lock the door. I actually kept my door open. I came and lied down on the bed, completely paralyzed. And he started speaking to me, explaining what is the golden path, what is the tradition, what we have to do. All these things he was explaining. In between, she came.
I also, I was driving through the traffic, but I kept having this like navigation on my top of my head. And I had to pull to go and see him. And then when I entered, the door was a little open and he was just lying like this and he couldn't move, you know, he was like, and there was this golden shimmer, golden shine on his eyelids and his whole skin, especially the eyelids. And he was just like this. And I just felt, wow, something amazing is happening. Then he said, Babaji is here. So then for me, this was like one of the most amazing experiences of my life, because I longed to speak to Babaji for many years. I had an astral experience with him when I was a student in Italy, in Rome. And after that, for years, I waited, you know, and this was the second time I could meet him or talk to him through Mohanji. He spoke through his mouth. And for 1 hour, he explained our path, the golden path, the royal path. What is royal path? What does it mean? And I even wrote down many things, but then that paper dematerialized. I couldn't find it. only thing I remember was golden path, royal path. But then he explained it to us, what it means.
Would you share like what was like one of the aspects of the message that you received?
The main aspect he said was, you are connecting directly to the consciousness. You will lead people directly to the consciousness. No need for any medium. That's why I always say, I'm not your destination. I'm just a messenger, or I'm delivering what I know to you. But it's your journey and connecting directly to the consciousness,
the source.
Yeah, the source. So and we are all children of the source. So that direct connection is what he told. That's what is needed in today's time. And then later he said, you need to go out and speak about it. So that's when I was a bit reluctant. So the main thing about this is it's a direct path to consciousness. The Raja Yoga, the golden path, is a direct path to consciousness. It's all that remains is consciousness, the energy inside us, the energy aspect. As I said before, it's a marriage of gross and subtle. Gross is the physical body, mind, intellect, ego, and the subtle is the spirit and the moving energy and the latent energy, the static energy. So this coming together, we call it life. When they separate, we call it death. So here, our whole focus is on the moving energy first and moving energy to the latent static energy. And then you connect to the whole universal energy so that you become one with the entire universe. So there is no barrier of time, space, planets or anything. We are universal. And later I had that experience also where I was completely expanded and I was fully energy, only energy body. And it took about 3-4 hours by the time I came back to the body, and which I call a Shiva experience. But it was that experience was very difficult for me to translate into any words because I was fully expanded. That also I think I have written in the blog. Yeah. And then life shifted completely. People started coming to me and all those things. So each experience, I see, it's almost like I'm telling what is the taste of sugar. I can only say sweet, but that doesn't mean anything unless you have the taste of the sugar on your tongue. You wouldn't know. So very difficult to explain experiences of higher nature. But one thing I realized is that it's all real. This is all real because it's transformative. I'm not the previous guy. I'm not the person I used to be. It's completely different. And then my biggest happiness is that real people started connecting. Not just people who are superficial and just coming to taste or test. Real people started connecting. Also, there are some people who are insecure and ignorant. They start blaming you or trying to tell you are not good. That is also there. But that's all part of existence. Where there is a positive, there will be negative. Where there is good, there will be bad. Where there is light, there will be darkness. So this is part of life. I'm not worried about it. But the thing is that all those people who have eyes to see, they have appreciated, and huge transformation has happened in their lives also. So this makes me happy. And I don't pitch money to it. If a real person comes, I don't count on anything. There are people who are very, very poor, and there are very rich people also. So everybody is equal in the eyes of consciousness. What your physical conditions are, who you are in life, it doesn't matter.
I have a question that arose as you were speaking about all these different states of consciousness that are possible for us as human beings going through this incredible experience of life. But sometimes I find it interesting when I have conversations with people that aren't into spirituality and trying to explain these concepts to them. So like, how would you bring closer the concept of spirituality to a person that's absolutely closed to such a topic? I mean, like, but absolutely closed, not in a matter that he doesn't want to listen anything about it, but like, he just doesn't believe in anything that you just spoken about.
Yeah.
Like, how do you bring the subject of spirituality closer to the people that think that the very idea of God or higher potentials that we all have within us are just a silly idea?
Like Shakespeare said in Hamlet, there are many things in heaven and earth, Horatio, that are dreamt of in your philosophies. So that's exactly one point. When you tell a person, all you have to do is that just believe in the energy which is called you. That's it. Nothing else, nothing external. Just know that there is an energy which is activating your life. When it goes, we call it dead body. That remembrance is enough as an active spiritual awareness. Because we don't have to know the dimensions of awareness at that time, initially. But we know very well there is an energy inside. We may not feel it, touch it. Just like electricity is not visible unless there is a light bulb. Like this, there is a story, this child asked, the father told the child, hey, look here, you are walking consciousness. You know, you are living walking consciousness. So child said, I don't feel so. I'm a man, I'm a human being. So how do you prove it? So father said, bring some fire. So the son brought a lamp, lit lamp. So father said, I told you to bring fire. Why have you brought a lit lamp? So he thought, oh, you want fire. So he brought a burning charcoal. So father said, you bring me charcoal. Why not fire? So father, without a medium, how can I bring fire? So father said, how can the consciousness operate without a medium called you? That's why I said you are also a medium. So this awareness is enough to start with. Then we can explore deeper levels of consciousness. First is being aware that there is an electricity passing through all of us and illuminating us, making us visible in the world. Same electricity goes through human beings, same electricity goes through animals, birds, every being. It's all one and activates them. But when it is going through animals, they live their entire life based on their nature. A cow lives as a cow whole life. One day it wouldn't decide, okay, let me try to be a tiger today. It never happens. So all the birds, all the animals, whole life, they live their nature, how they are created, what their orientations are, their dimensions are 100%. They don't change. But human beings use intelligence and imagination to exist. So we have explorations of various nature. We explore our lives and we design our lives. So that difference we have. But what happens is that when mind and intellect, mind is the processor of emotions, intellect processor of information, ego processing the personality related matters. So these three aspects confuse us. We believe ego tells, hey, all these things belongs to you. This position is yours. Place is yours. Relations are yours. So we start owning them. Then we don't recognize them anymore as an individual creation. Because we always consider them in terms of my existence, my wife, my child, my car, I am important, and along with me other. Instead, we will not see, oh, that person is existing on their own. Relationships are all temporary. It can come, it can go, it can stay. But that person has an existence without you. So that understanding will come when you start simply analyzing life. When you simply look at life, you will know. A dog, domestic dog, in my house or another person's house, it will have its all nature. It will bark, it will eat food, it will sleep. It doesn't change anything. Also, like we call my children, but we never picked them up from the shop. They happen to us, through us, but they have their existence. They have their inclinations, tendencies, completely different from us probably. And because of brainwashing and because of coaxing, they might follow what you follow. But apart from that, if you leave them individually, they are unique. So everybody in the world are unique. Our thumb impression is unique to us, or that nobody is like that. 8 billion people have 8 billion impressions, expressions, relevance in the world. So if we understand that, so for a complete ignorant person to talk about God, all you have to say is that there is some energy in you which is making you, which is taking you through 3 states every day. First state is state of waking. We are awake. We have an identity. We have a personality. Second state is we have a dream state. That is also an experience state, but we are sourcing the experience from the stored data inside. And third state, deep sleep, where you have no external state nor internal state. You have no state. Like death. 24 hours, this is going. And each time the flavor is different. So who's awake all this time? Who's awake? Who's being awake and who's taking you through these times? 3 states. That kind of thoughts are enough to explore deeper and deeper. And these are not unscientific. They are scientific. You can actually explore and go deeper with these thoughts and find yourself. At least you will understand that there is an energy inside us. Like for example, energy inside us, you can call it soul or you can call it any name, energy, soul, whatever name. That energy is never particularly oriented on you. Same energy, if it enters a body of an animal or a pig, it will behave like a pig. And the energy is not suffering. That's not worried about it. Now, the same energy in you or me will operate as you and me, as separate. But the same energy in an elephant will behave like an elephant, and the elephant, that energy will never compare, that in Mohanji's body was better. Now what have I committed? Nothing like it. It is completely neutral, completely selfless, just like electricity. If you channel it to the light bulb, it gives you light. If you channel it to the washing machine, it washes clothes. If you channel it to the television, it gives you picture. Same electricity. And it has no choices. It is not interested in the machine. Where it's going, it will activate it. Same like the soul, where is it going? It will activate that thing. That's why we have to respect all creations. Because it's all our expressions or our extensions. So once we understand that, we'll be very peaceful. We will not have conflicts. There are no strangers in this world. They are all us in one way or the other. Different bodies, but bodies are temporary. How many days we will keep it? Maybe 80 years, 100 years. That's it. But then you have to shed it. So this understanding is very important. As I said, the fastest growing philosophy in the world is atheism now. That's a study has proved it. Because most people don't believe in God. Most people don't believe in religion. And that's the way the trend is happening because of the indoctrination and the forcing and the rigidity. Yeah, people don't like rigidity. They like love. We can attain everything with love. All you need is love. So we can go very deep into ourselves through simple formats. And then the process is contemplation, not meditation. Contemplation. Contemplation is asking questions. Who am I actually? What is this thing called me? Not in terms of a book. Books have said everything. Don't look at books. Don't look at people. Don't look at philosophies. Don't look at classes. Look at yourself. What makes you happy? What makes you expanded? And the answer will come. Love makes you expanded. Care, unconditionality, compassion, kindness makes you expanded. Anger, hatred, jealousy, revenge makes you contracted, shrinks you. So we understand what's good for us, right? We all have that capacity to know. Then we know we can make the best use of what is inside us in this life.
I frequently think about the concept of unconditional love, which is something that most of the teachings sooner or later are emphasizing on. And I always find it strange, how is it possible for human beings not to be unconditionally loving by default? Why is it so? Like, why do we need to unlearn conditional love to experience unconditional love?
That's the answer. Conditioning is the answer. We've been conditioned to fight, compete. We've been compared with our classmates in schools, and we've been told that we are not good enough. We've been told that you are less or more, or you've been told you are from this religion or this parents or this family. You've been completely conditioned. Then we have to see everybody as us. We have a lot of unconditioning to do. But even if you look at the nature, we will know what is unconditional love. For example, sun rises and sun sets. You know, and sun's rays, sun's nature, sun's presence is heat and light. Sun cannot do anything about it. You know, sun's nature is to give heat and light. That is his nature. It is like that. And that nourishes the earth. Mm-hmm. That keeps the earth going, all the planets going, the whole galaxy going. They all
flora, fauna, everything.
All
blooms.
because of sun.
Sprouts because
now,
of it.
a flower blooms. It brings fragrance. But many flowers, the fragrance never reaches a human nose or many other noses. Mm-hmm. Because they just take birth, exist, they leave. But they are not worried. You know, so if you look at the whole world, how it operates, like the trees giving fruits, the tree doesn't discriminate who should eat that fruit. Many trees which we plant, like we are planting many trees in the world, our organization. So that those plantations, who will eat those fruits, we don't know. Maybe much later after our death, somebody will eat. Today, the fruits we are eating are the plants, the trees are planted, or plants are planted by somebody whom we don't know, or who would have died. So there is a lot of unconditionality in our life, you know, but we should look into the nature and see how the nature nourishes. The rivers are flowing. River doesn't care who takes the water. Sun doesn't care where the rays fall. It falls in the gutter and also in the garden. Same. Everything in life is like that. So what is me and mine here? Nothing. These ownerships and these things are society created confinements many times. Because that you own, this is what you own. You should behave like this, walk like this, talk like this. Of course, don't hurt anybody, don't harm anything. Never take up arms, don't fight. That's all because it hurts you much more. You must forgive and forget because it lightens you if you forgive and forget, not because of other people. You have the right to remain light. For that, you need to forgive, you need to forget. But if you think everything is yours and you need to conquer things, capture things, take money from somebody's pocket into yours, we cannot sleep properly. There are people with 20 bedrooms and big mansions, but no sleep. I don't call that life. I call life when you are able to sleep like a baby and you can love as if there is no tomorrow. That's exactly what is life. You know, I always feel I'm an eternal romantic that way. We love life. We should love life. All the pains and all the pleasures, don't carry it from the past here. You know, past has given us so many things and past has made us, but there ends that story. Today is not the past and will never be the future until future happens. So this is the flow of life. Unconditional love, all you need, if you want to know what is unconditional love, all you need is to look into the nature. You can see the beauty and the vibrance of the nature giving forth all the brilliance for nobody's sake.
Thank you so much for expanding to such a level. Yeah, because I always found that to be strange. Like you said, like we have a spider and the spider is perfect at being a spider. We don't have a lousy spider.
Yeah.
you know. It's
Absolutely.
We only have like us human beings who aren't that sure, you know, what we need to become.
Yeah.
So, you know, we constantly, you know, think about like different ways of what should we become, and like what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that one of the primary values of your teachings and your message is ahimsa,
yes.
so the path of nonviolence.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about the path of nonviolence, there is a slight contradiction that I feel, and I'm going to try and explain. So the very act of physical life has violence inherited in it. So like this tree needed to be destroyed before I made it into a table. Even if we have a plant, when I tear up the plant or when I pull some plant from the ground, I basically kill it to eat it. Same goes for the animals. Same goes for our own physical bodies. They are alive because of subtle micro conflicts that happen within our bodies. So different micro Star Wars happening in our body, and this destruction and violence that happens within us usually keeps us alive. So I would like to expand, I would like for you to expand a bit more about the way of ahimsa and what does it actually mean to be nonviolent, because I feel that there is this, it's really difficult to follow the path of absolute nonviolence because the physical world is literally based upon it.
You're absolutely right. See, as we walk out, when we walk in the street, maybe we'll be stepping on a school of ants. For them, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Murder, death. You know, it's a natural calamity for them. Those things we cannot control. We have to think that the nature is using us for some stabilization. Mm-hmm. Because all we can do is that we cannot put our mind to an act of violence in thoughts, expressions, actions. Mm-hmm. This is my concept of nonviolence.
And intentions.
Our intention should be pure, kind, and no way we should think bad about somebody because it hurts us. It stays inside. The smithy, the workshop is inside where we are creating the hatred. Hatred destroys us more than the other. Maybe the other person may not even know that you hate them, but you are burning because of hatred. Jealousy, possessiveness, these things hurt you. So my concept of nonviolence is spread over our orientation, our attitude. So when you are kind, it shows, it reflects in the entire world around you because your kindness speaks, not you speak, your activity speaks. Compassion, unconditional love, all these things. Now, I do not eat meat. I do not eat any animal products because I respect animals. That's because I believe that they also deserve to have their full life like us. We are not superior or special than them. And we have no right to take their lives and their bodies for our sake. Mm-hmm. So I believe that, so I'm refraining, but I never ever inflicted that thought on anybody. But many people, when they understand that we cannot murder and no animal dies with peace. All the animals die with pain, fear, anxiety, and that meat goes into our system, creates the same effect in our cells. So that's why I refrain from all kinds of animal products. And that's what I've been living. I've been practicing for many years now, more than 15 years or 16 years. Second aspect, that plants, as I said, I do not eat sprouts because sprouts are the promise of embryos for a new plant. So I refrain from eating sprouts. That is my way. I don't, there's so many vegans or plant-based people eat sprouts, but I don't. I feel sad when I see that, okay, this plant cannot grow. I'm consuming them. Normally what I consume are all those fruits or vegetables which has seen the sun, which is under the sun. So if you take a tomato, if you take a tomato from the plant, it's almost, for the plant, it's like cutting our nail. It doesn't get, the plant is not destroyed. And it produces a tomato, a mango tree produces a mango for its regeneration, for new plants. So it's not affected by us plucking those fruits of those plants. So I consume those kind of things, and I stick to this diet. And also I don't eat 3 times mostly. Mostly it's 2 times a day. So that you don't need to eat a lot. You eat consciously, you eat good nutritious food, a variety of it each time. You don't need to eat a lot. And I don't think I have any level of less energy, any energy loss. So that is about it. I'm 59 now, so I can easily say that this is my lifestyle. I don't normally eat dinner. I finish lunch and that's my dinner too. So my level of ahimsa is that you should never hurt anybody, harm anybody in thoughts, words, or actions, and accept everybody so that you don't have a conflict with them. Not that you agree with everybody. We cannot agree with everybody. We will have difference in opinion. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But we should not harm anybody because they think differently. That's insecurity. You know, if you have to hurt somebody because they think differently, that's our insecurity, our intolerance. I do not subscribe to it. I accept everybody. I have following in every country, more or less. 90 countries we are following, including Saudi Arabia, including various countries. So all the denominations, all the religious people connect to me because I'm not against them. They follow their own practices. They follow their own things. But many people have become conscious now. Mm-hmm. Like one other thing, see, to boil it down to the lowest portion. One other thing we talked about global warming and stuff like that. We were talking about it. See, there's a study which says to feed 8 billion people, almost 80 billion animals are killed a year. Mm. To feed 8 billion people, and still there is starvation in the world.
And we throw huge mountains of food we just throw away.
Absolutely.
So
lots of food are cultivated for the sake of feeding 80 billion animals to feed 8 billion people. Still 8 billion people do not get fed. Many people do not get food. So there is a complete disruption of thought process or disalignment in this whole system.
Yeah.
That's why I believe that we can feed everybody in the world. Everybody can have food at home and sleep not hungry, sleep without hunger. We have that possibility. We should not depend on animal products so much, and it's harmful because when we eat meat, we are also eating all the pain and the agony of animal, apart from the chemicals which is injected on them, which is affecting the system, especially nervous system. So many people have joint pains and all sorts of pains because of the consistent consumption of animal products. So according to me, ahimsa is essential today. Because why are we killing our own people? Human beings, animals, forests. Why are we doing this? In the future, the new generation will think that we are a retarded generation the way we are creating Holocaust for animals. Hundreds and thousands and billions of animals are killed for human consumption. And it's so insensitive and so cruel many times.
Hidden from the public eye.
Yeah. And even if you show it to the people, like there are a few wonderful documentaries, like movies, like one is Samsara, where they show, so there isn't any narration, so it's just images. And I remember when I showed the movie, like there is one part of the movie where they show the manufacturing, like it's like the chicken slaughterhouse, and the other one is veal slaughterhouse. So people look at it and they're like, nah, I can't watch that, don't show me that.
Yeah.
Like, why? Look at it.
Reality.
Yeah.
Accept it, because you're being a part of it.
Yes.
So this is this problem with responsibility. We have such a huge problem to accept responsibility for horrific things that are happening in our world.
Turning the blind eye is always easier.
Voluntary delusionment.
And disassociate from it.
And also moral bankruptcy. Yes. It's a moral bankruptcy. Yeah. If we cannot see the pain of another, whether it is a baby of a cow or a pig or our own baby, if we cannot understand the pain, then we don't understand anything in life.
Yeah.
If we are not sensitive, we don't understand anything. And sometimes people say that's got the backup of a religion. But again, let me ask you, all these religions have come from people who were super kind. Most of the religions of today have come from super kind people. That's been formed by people who are brilliant and filled with compassion, love, And when we use their name for slaughter, assassination, I don't think it's a real understanding. Secondly, the way we annihilate animals today, that's also the reason why we annihilate people. Because when there are slaughterhouses, there'll be wars. There will be wars when there are slaughterhouses, because we don't have a problem to shed blood, in whether it is for consumption or whatever. And those people who cannot see these things which you told about, they sponsor killing by paying for food of animal product, of animal nature. So this is something which world has to wake up and see now, because otherwise we are annihilating the earth consistently. Next generation will have more problems. Now we're talking about global warming, and more things will happen because there is a lot of contamination in the air, the energetic contamination, because all these animals, they helplessly dying. They have not been given a choice. It's not the same as in the forest. In the forest, the lions do not eat meat every day. When they are hungry, they know that one of the deers will die, and they even sacrifice kind of. But there are so many deers and so many lions to control the population of deer, and that's a food chain.
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah, but here it's not that. It's that the confinement, the torture, like
disrespect
of life.
Yes.
Yeah, like a cow is never free. As soon as it's born, it's taken away from the mother.
Yeah.
A mother-child relationship is not given. Complete isolation, pain, and as soon as they can breed, they are impregnated artificially. Child taken away, and milk taken away. Finally, life taken away. Everything taken away. It's complete torture. So this is in our society, in this air, and we will all feel it. You see, it'll go deep into our system. So when we talk about spiritual evolution, we should also think about energetic contamination around us.
Can you continue along this path if you really want to get liberated? Because something will just need to stop, because
automatically it will because we start becoming aware. We start becoming aware. And like in our Australian land, we have now adopted 2 sheep and their children. That is because the farmer cannot keep the sheep because there is drought there, no water. So we adopted 2 of them. And we have a cow and a calf. They all live together peacefully. I don't separate the cow and the calf. We don't take any milk from them. Now deers are coming in Australia. So all these, they all live together in harmony. We also connect to them. So we can exist like this, a coexistence. And children are forced into it. Children are kind by nature. We are born kind. And it's cool to be kind. But the thing is, we don't think. We just follow as the society says. And we have the legality through religion or law or anything. But even if it is not ethical, if the law approves, it becomes legal. So many things are not ethical, because murder is not ethical. Murder of any species is not ethical. And it's moral bankruptcy when we don't see it, when we don't feel it. It's aberration of our stability, or it's a violation to our stability.
Yeah, I remember a really good friend giving a good... First of all, thank you for expanding a bit more on the way of ahimsa, because I had this question in my mind that I really wanted to ask you. And also, when you said the intention to be violent, it's different than the natural violence that occurs by itself within nature.
Yeah.
My friend said, in relation to that, he had a really good analogy. He had when we hate someone, it's like drinking a poison and expecting somebody else to die.
Yeah. Very good. Absolutely.
So, in any case, going back to the subject of our podcast, this is also part of the subject, but in any case, I wanted to ask you about, this question goes for both of you, the intriguing subject of enlightenment. So when we have spiritual talks, most of the people that are somehow entering spirituality hear about this word enlightenment. And I would like for both of you to expand, and I would like to hear it from both of you your perspectives, what does it mean to get enlightened? And is that even a goal that somebody should, you know, strive towards prior to entering the realm of spirituality?
I can just say from my end that you know, you can't have a goal in your mind of something that you don't have an idea what it is, right? So that's the thing. So that's the whole point of having somebody in a human body who has already passed that road and can share connection, can share advice, can point you. That's really, really priceless at a point. But for me, it's very simple. Like I can see, it's almost like you have an orbit you are in right now, which is your ego, and you want to be successful, you want to look beautiful, you want to be in shape, you want to impress people, you want to, you know, all this success. And then on the spiritual path, the orbit changes, you know, like from that, you shift to another orbit. And there's in-between territory, which is the scariest part, when you're neither here nor there. Because you know that for this, whatever is in your mind, the concept of enlightenment, the ego has to die, right? But what's beyond is unknown land, right? It's unknown territory. So now having that guts to step into that and to really allow the ego to die, that's the big thing. So definitely, you know, hearing the stories of liberated masters and how they live, how they express, you know, having that energy present in your life, that's really, really priceless at a point where you make that conscious decision. Now, this is what's important to me, you know. And in our life also, he mentioned 2012, leaving the comfort. You know, for me, like we had our child, Mila, and then leaving the comfort of a paid job and entering this path of pathlessness, where as you walk, the ground forms under your feet. Nothing is set. There is no godfather to provide funds. There is nobody. There's no followers. There's nothing. And for me, this is what made this experience so special, you know. And when I look back, you know, just now we were in America, and I saw, like, 10 years ago we were in America, 2014, when I left my job. I was working for Mercedes-Benz in Oman, in Middle East. And then suddenly, no salary. And then, you know, how you become sensitive to little small humiliations, how you know, start experiencing yourself, then these different dimensions of ego, and then really having that determination, no matter what happens, I will continue on this path, you know. So you really get tested, and I feel that if you choose that path, the tests are even more strong, but that purpose really, really guides you. And in the end, you start having glimpses of that liberated state, and you just have to continue with the churning. And nobody finds it comfortable to be on a spiritual path. It's not a comfortable thing.
Nobody said it's
and
gonna be easy.
And when I look at Mohanji, and I like, it's so inspiring what he's been through, like seeing through the walls, seeing people's future, all the spiritual powers, so many dimensions opening up, and then choosing to wear like normal clothes and be normal and just be in this world. And then very few people actually recognize that he has had this breakthrough in consciousness, you know. It's not something that's all that valued by other people. But if you show off, if you show powers, if you make it tangible, you know, then it's attractive. If you market it, then it's attractive. But then you compromise yourself, right? So that's one of the key things he had when he had a communion with Babaji. That was the point where he was asked whether you want to show the powers and attract people, just like, let's say, a famous astrologer, and people are full of insecurity. They want to know about the future. They want to know which year my life will change. I will get a lot of money, or I will have a marriage, or, you know. So this is like tangible, and then many people flock to you because they're so full of insecurity. But if you don't if you don't demonstrate your powers, and you simply emanate that energy and serve by your example. And when they recognize that there is something you can offer, you give them as per their eligibility level. You know, that's actually guiding them along that untreaded path beyond the orbit of ego. You know, so this is, our path is not for great masses, you know, but now we live at a time when collectively people are awakening, and this subject is more and more interesting for many people. So it's such a joy to share. But it's not going to be comfortable, you know, that's my thing. Like, I see him working day and night, you know, there's a lot of responsibility. There's so many people that come to you and you can't deny them. You can't just ignore them, you know, so constant communication, constant travel, constantly, like the energy pulls you to do more and more and more. So enlightened masters are the busiest ever, you know, they have so much more responsibility than other people.
Spiritual Wall Street,
so
right?
it's definitely even less comfortable, but then you're in the flow. For me, I see it very simple. You start becoming an instrument of a high frequency energy, you enter into the flow, and you just don't care about your image anymore like you did before, you know, and you start becoming more natural, more in the flow, and that aspect of selflessness and love gives the gratification that you would never get in the material world. So it's that unconditionality, no expectations. It's my privilege to love, it's my privilege to give, to share, to flow, and then allowing whatever comes, you allow, you accept. It's not easy, but it's just a completely different life. Then that's where our life changes. And I believe this enlightenment happens when it happens. But it's not about the goal, it's about the process. Over to you.
The truth is that nothing belongs to you anyway, even this body. Exactly. One point about the powers. Powers comes naturally. When your frequency shifts, such things come.
Siddhis come. They
come, but at the same time, it becomes a trap to the exponent. So you got to be very careful. People can get fascinated by you when you're displaying some powers, but then you can't get fascinated. You got to be natural so that you don't get trapped. First point. Second is that enlightenment is just stability or stabilization of awareness. That I am essentially the energy. It's a stabilization of awareness in an experiential way. So in other words, stabilization of awareness of the energy within. Already we have it. Self-realization is the realization of something which is already existing inside. So that happens when the mind becomes silent. When mind is quiet, there are no thoughts pushing us outside through the senses. There are no demands in the mind, demands in the system to go outside. Then you can only go inside. And when you go inside deep enough, or deep enough in the sense long enough, you will feel the energy aspect, the real aspect. That realization is self-realization. That is enlightenment. And once you're enlightened, life is the same. Life has no change, but the outlook changes. You look at the world differently. You look at the world with love. You see people as you are. There's nothing to tell anybody, nothing to impart, nothing to tell, because it's you. What will I tell my right hand from the left hand? It's the same. So 2 hands for 2, whatever I have. So this is exactly what we feel. Not that we become different and also you don't have to pursue it. All you have to do is to accept yourself. And when life flows and things get settled by automatically, and more demands and requirements and desires are not happening, automatically it sinks into the energy field, the energy aspect. Once the energy aspect is stabilized, you are realized.
You mentioned now that there is this specific part in life where you transition from the material into the spiritual. So I would like to hear from your own personal experience. Like, is it possible to make a balance between these two aspects, the material and the spiritual? Because usually when we speak about spiritual themes, people are somehow afraid. Like, so if I'm going to spirituality, I would need to denounce everything that I own. Just go into like total, how can I say, dissolvement of everything material that I had in my life. So I was wondering, like, through your own personal experience, like, is it possible to find a balance between the two? But like real balance, and how does it look like from a practical point of view?
Extraordinary balance we can find. Simple. Just take the ownership away from what you have. With awareness that it doesn't belong to us. Nothing belongs to us. No land, no building, not even the body. We are here only for some time. So when you take the ownership away from your whatever you have no attachments. And then that makes it very simple. Then we are spiritual. So that's the way we can look at the world. Nothing belongs to me. So I mean, it's not like you take the responsibility away. You should have responsibility. Responsibility is a duty. It's connected to duty. In other words, it's dharma. Dharma means appointed duty. So dharma means appointed duty. Dharma means sacred duty, or essential duty. So that you cannot change. So if you have dependents in your house, you should take care of them. So all those things are different, but karmically, when you have no attachment, you don't have suffering. You don't have pain. Everything is connected to attachment. So you can have anything you like, material richness, you can have private jets, you can have yachts. But if you are completely peaceful about the whole thing and you're not affected by the ownership of it, then you're free.
Yeah, I would also add that ever since we were on this path, we don't accumulate, we don't hoard, we don't keep things for the, olden days.
Pension.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, for example, this dress was gifted to me. Like, things come to me. Or when we travel, people host us. So I don't have to necessarily pay the hotel every time.
Yeah.
I don't. So when you express your love, people are happy to have you, and that's where you feel it's just so much more beautiful than this life where you just sell your time for money, you get the money, and then you pay, and it's so dry, actually. But here, our path, Raja Yoga path, is not a path of renunciation, celibacy, all these norms and rules. No. But you just don't get the attachment. You don't hoard, you don't accumulate, you don't worry about it, But I like to enjoy something. I'm like, I like this. I like the colors. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to wear it, and I'm grateful for the gift. But I don't expect that somebody should gift it, right? So this is the difference. You flow, and then when you flow, abundance comes naturally. So in Hinduism, there's an example of Lakshmi and Vishnu, right? So when you're in that flow of the serpent of Ananda, the bliss, and Vishnu sits on that serpent, and Lakshmi is at his feet, she's there.
Material wealth.
Yeah, material wealth represented by Lakshmi is definitely
when you're connected to consciousness, material wealth comes to you.
Yeah.
And the contradiction is usually when you're totally connected with consciousness, you feel that you don't need anything.
You don't need it.
You anyway don't need it.
You're not chasing it. You're not chasing anything. Yeah. That's the point here. That when we add value to the world or to the people around you, they add value to you too. All I have given to this world is myself. And I couldn't find anything else more valuable or more meaningful to give to this world. It's not my teachings. It's not my lifestyle. It's not my preachings or meditations or anything. It's myself. I gave myself to the world, and the world gave itself to me. That's what we see in the world. That's exactly what we have. So when we add value to the world adds value to you. And also each country I come, like we are in Serbia now, I try to do maximum addition value to each country. Even in the back of our card, we said adding value to Serbia in whichever way possible. It could be stability of people, their stability, personal stability. When people are stable, they are not too emotional and angry, society is stable. The elected bodies or governments cannot give this. So my biggest wealth in the world is my life in the hearts of people. So many countries, so many people. And that money cannot buy.
As we slowly bring this wonderful conversation to an end, which I would like to last for at least like 10 more hours, I wouldn't mind. I would like to ask you a specific question which is related to the desperation that most people experience once they start thinking about the things that have been going on worldwide. So conflicts, wars, everything. And people usually feel that they're just, and they've been told that they've been just tiny specks that cannot influence anything in the world. And through that way of education, we feel sometimes that we're really small, and we get this feeling like I'm too small to actually affect anything that's been happening around the world. So is that actually true? And is there anything that we can do, and what is it that we can do on an individual level that can help to bring the worldwide peace, balance, and harmony?
Very, very valid question. You know, there is, why should we have this helplessness in the world? You look at the conditioning. We are creating children to be employees. We are teaching them to memorize, not to be intelligent. The problem with memorization is only useful for examination. But we are not creating intelligent people. When people are intelligent, if they are wise, there'll be no wars. But here, all over the world, all the children growing up, they're all being taught to get a job. And that's about it. Then they don't know what to do, but they can't handle life. Many people cannot handle life. They are only good for handling a job. Second aspect, that like I spoke at the Parliament of All Religions, this thing. I said, I guarantee that none of my people, all the people in the world who follow me, will never hurt anybody, harm anybody, take up arms against anybody. All the religious leaders and spiritual leaders should take up this decision. None of their people will attack somebody, hurt somebody, harm somebody. That responsibility they should take. You will see world peace. Thirdly, like we said earlier, we should be careful about how we handle Earth. We cannot destroy the Earth and then complain that we have heat or more cold or global warming. We have to be more sensitive. We have to take care of other beings also. The maturity of a society we can see only through how they handle animals or weaker sections of the society. How we treat women, how we respect women. And women equality, it's automatically there. They are equal to anybody. We don't have to decide to give equality to women.
Yeah, it's a given by itself.
It's given by itself. Then another aspect is that, see, if you just allow children to be natural, they will not have complication, psychological strain, tension. And we must have more counselors than teachers. We don't have to teach them too much, but we have to ask them, counsel them, understand them. Today, to understand a child is not easy. Earlier, when I was growing up, like I'm talking about 60s, 70s, 1960s, 1970s, we had a lot of connection with our parents, you know, and we have a kind of direct communication with them, kind of. Today, parents do not know their children. The world communicates with them through mobile phones. So what a child is looking into, or what a child is orienting into, what are they thinking, what they want, nobody knows. And parents don't have any control. Parents have probably 15% to 10% control or responsibility over children today. The rest are with the society and not much with the teachers either. So we need more counselors today to handle the influx of technology. And then we know our children. Then we can connect to our children. We know what they are, what they want, what they are looking at. And then we can orient them so we can have reduced criminal activities in the society later. Otherwise, we do not know children, because many games are killing people. So children see
Violence all around.
yeah, subconscious mind does not understand an actual activity and a pretentious activity, and it gets fed into the system. So subconscious mind thinks that it's okay to kill, and it produces that impact. So children go around and kill real people. That is why we have shootings, etc., in America, etc. That's all because the games and all these things. See, we do not understand our children, and there's no connection, no eye contact. Everything is on WhatsApp or Facebook, social media. So our connection is lost. It's time to reconnect. It's time to feel. It's time to break the islands and make it a mainland. And also various other things we can put together. Like, for example, if we are serious about peace, government should take action against making more weapons. On one side, we make weapons, nuclear weapons, all those things. And on the other side, we talk about nuclear peace, world peace. It doesn't work. And when we can shed blood, even in slaughterhouses, we also shed blood in wars. So we have to be realistic. This is what I spoke in the BRICS Award program also. We should shed our hypocrisy and be real. And also, we should have religious harmony. Anybody can follow any religion they like, but violence is not permitted. Violence should not be sponsored, permitted. If violence happens, the religious head should be responsible. Because their people, if they are following violence, that means the teaching is wrong. You know, there is a fundamental wrong in the teaching. Because by killing somebody, who's happy? God is not happy. These are all God's children. So we have to have a fundamental shift in awareness so that we can have a better world. And if we don't do this now, tomorrow will be too late. Because another generation is coming up. And a few generations later, we cannot reverse it. We already gone too far. And otherwise, there's no justification for any wars, bloodshed, displacement, exodus. You know, there's no justification. People of Arab nature coming to Europe and settling down and creating demographic imbalance, it doesn't hold water. Mm-hmm. They should be peaceful in their place, and they should be protected. They should be nourished, nurtured. So we have to think differently. That's why I said, let's not talk about rights anymore. Too many times we hear rights. Nobody talks about responsibility. Now we should have less policemen, more counselors in the society, less teachers and more counselors in the schools, and so that we can have a cleaner society. Do not convict a person and then try to rectify it. People should not be convicted at all. They should not enter into crime, so that we can have a better, cleaner society. All of us can sleep peacefully, and it's our right. So for experiencing the right, we should have responsibilities upheld. You know, we have to uphold our responsibility so that we can enjoy our rights. This is what I feel.
Thank you for sharing. Devi, anything you would like to share?
I would like to say that, you know, it's in terms of the feminine subject of nurturing and all that, socializing with people who have higher frequency, who connect with the same values is really important. And that's why last couple of years we started with this Mohanji Peace Centers. So centers of peace and benevolence around the world. There's one 40 minutes from here, Obrenovac, Veliko Polje. So we have gatherings there now. In Serbia, there are other countries have their centers.
12 countries.
So 12 in total right now. So these are really important, like tangible experiences of community living, of meeting people of similar frequency. You know, like as women, for example, we like to share so many details about healthy food, approach to health that is holistic, about small little advices that really change your life, you know. So all that comes with a lot of interaction, relaxed time together, music, dance, meditation, programs, question and answers, you know. So all that is really, really valuable. And we travel a lot. We meet many people from different countries. Programs are conducted in all over the world, online and in person. But I find, for me, this vision of communities and communes where people actually get that special time together I feel in the time to come, with a lot of upheaval, a lot of instability in the world, I see that as one of the crucial aspects for stability as well. So I feel in Serbia we have a lot of potential. We have beautiful nature. We have had wars, and people have opened their eyes a lot. There's a lot of openness. A lot of egos were hit. A lot of thirst for spiritual knowledge. And I also value this very sacred connection between the Balkan region, Vinča civilization, and all that unknown history that is yet to be revealed, and the Vedic India, where the key difference is that divine is to be sought within. So turning within, we call it tihovanje, being in silence, meditation. So I feel now is a really beautiful time ahead for us in the Balkans and everywhere in the world. But I feel happy that I moved back with our daughter to Serbia. And I personally also do a lot of programs here. And I love our people. And I see a lot of maturity and a lot of that being natural, being joyous, heart-centered, being sincere. And a lot of people are awakening at the moment. So I always say my message is always positive, no matter what is happening around the world.
Yeah. Also, I would like to, that's what I'm trying to implement in all our centers. That nobody leaves that place hungry. That's what I'm trying to implement. Everybody gets food, but if they waste it, they have to pay.
And you said like double portion, right?
Double portion.
So double portion.
Yeah. Food you can consume as much as you want. Nobody will ask you. But if you waste it,
it's a great sin.
Two plates.
We have to end somewhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so
David.
much for being here and for sharing all this incredible knowledge, wisdom, your personal experience about all these subjects. It was truly a great joy to have you both here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that we'll have an opportunity to shoot some new episodes sometime in the future. Maybe even at your center. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Most welcome. Anytime. Any center in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world.
Like which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make a tour.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to share all the relevant links of today's conversation in the description box below, and I'll be seeing you in some new cosmic adventures within Cosmic Travelers. Thank you. Ciao.